show is out of town, asking to lead the meeting. So, Commissioner Klein, would you mind saying for?
I will say that, Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the work we've gotten done so far tonight. We've had great discussions, good responses to those discussions. We ask you to continue us in that manner tonight, that everything we do will be of your will be intelligently thought through and discussed, and that we can do the best we can possibly do for the citizens of Sumner County. We ask this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. All right, do I have a motion for approval of the agenda? Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item C, recognition of the public. We do have three speakers. Judge Ron Blanton and Judge Brian McCormick. So, got 5 whole minutes.
Does that include our dancing team?
There's two of them, is it?
I'm here basically to speak a couple of items. One, we have on the agenda a new copier for recovery court to approve that lease. We've had that copier in recovery court, I think, since 2008. It's cheaper to buy, to lease a new one under what the month-to-month is right now. So I would just ask for you all to approve that lease. Second of all, I'm here with Judge McCormick. She's got to make a request on mental health to move adjustment in salary.
Your item is in number 4 under the finance director section. I'm going to say it's 2B off memory. Essentially, when we came before you last year, you approved the receipt of the surplus funds that the state had provided to us for mental health court. And at the time, we had to prepare a suggested budget of what we believe the money would be used for. The state then kind of modified the standards in which they wanted our program director to have, or at least the qualifications. And essentially, the items that we proposed at that time, we are not able to hire anyone at that rate. So we had to kind of reshift within that same budget and just kind of reshift the items in order to be able to get a person of the caliber that the state wants us to have. So we were just shifting within the same amount. We're not asking for any more money. It's just rearranging what we initially had proposed to you in the budget. So the simplest idea is if you approved us to have $10 and we told you we were going to put $5 in the green bucket and $5 in the blue bucket, now we need to put $6 in the green and $4 in the blue. Still same money, just rearranging the pot that it comes out of within the same approved amount you've already approved. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, we can say that when we get to it.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Next we have Douglas Hunter. If you would mind coming up here and stating your name and address for the record.
Come over here where I can do this without here, maybe something around this.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Your name and address.
Douglas Hunter, I'm resident of 230 North Lee Road, Portland, Tennessee, lifelong citizen of Sumner County. So I'm here to speak on the A under 5 about the fund balance being returned as a fund to the hospital fund. I'd like to keep it where it's at, and I think I've sent a letter out to where y'all can see out of the money I've spent in the last 10 years. It's of $115,000. I've actually got $2 million for it in match, 5% match stuff. I've got some projects on the burner. It just takes a long time to make them all come together. And anything you want to know about airport finance or anything in the state of Tennessee, we're fortunate in this county to have 2 airports, and 6 airports in the state of Tennessee. It's got 2 airports. We've got Union City here, and we've got Portland on the greater north end of town. It supports all industrials and recreational. There's so much that goes on in both airports that a lot of people don't realize. So I'm just here to try to keep that money coming to us the way we've done it. We don't ask for any until I get a match. I could have done used the money I got left, but it wouldn't have been benefit to the county or anybody. So I like to get more fair play, and that's what I'm here for. So any questions you want to ask about it, I don't mind answering.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is David Shoemaker from. You mind come up? name and address for the record keeper, that'd be great. Got 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yes, I'm David Schumacher, I live at 204 Hollis Court in Hendersonville. I'm representing the residents there, and I'm here tonight, we have a resolution out for approving a stormwater remediation project. We, the planning department, and the commission members have been working on this for over 8 years. We appreciate the work you've done. We just ask that we just keep moving along and we finally get it completed. And thank you very much for your attention and hopefully your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes public comments. All right, now a motion for approval of the minutes. Motion by Commissioner Schmidt, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Report of the Budget Committee Chairman, I do not have a report. Report of the County Mayor.
With respect to the archives roof, we did have a meeting today with the architect on that. Commissioner Klein was part of that discussion. So I think it went real well, and still working through those things, but we're not at a point of a bid process or anything. We'll bring it all back to the general office.
Okay, thank you. That concludes report of the County Mayor. For the Finance Director.
The first item is the ARPA discussion that the committee had requested, and it's actually passed out. And since we didn't get done to this late hour because we were reconciling and working on other items, this may be something I want to leave with you and bring back next month after all of you have a chance to look at it really closely for questions.
Okay, so just keep this under old business for next month.
Yeah, can we put it under old business? That way you can have some time to look at it and determine.
Is there anybody wants to discuss, make a motion for anything right now?
I'll just put it under old right now. Item number 2 is the revenue analysis. We're still waiting for some information, so we are going to do that next month. Item C is just the memo telling that for any interested parties that the financial statements at the night of the county commission meeting for the month of November will be available. Item 19, and this is for next year's budget, well, page 19. Everybody a minute to get there, including myself. The first thing is the budget calendar, which each year before January 1st, and this is the last meeting this year, the finance director and the budget committee will set calendars and forms for the upcoming fiscal year. Several of the deadlines are set into the state law. The first one is that all items will be returned to the finance director for consolidation by March 1, and actually the date that I will present, the date that the school board files with the finance directors on there, and then the rest of the dates are just set out based on your committee meetings or what we think is the most appropriate time. There is at least a 10-day publication before the county commission can consider the budget, and that is statutory too. It's very similar to what you had last year, and it did bring you through a budget approved on the last meeting in June. Item number 2 is pretty close to a copy of what I have last year, except with the dates changes to the memorandum and the salary sheets that we send out each year. There's a few changes. One, put some verbiage in there that if you are requesting additional raises through the end of the year, that you do include that on your request to make sure we don't miss anything that somebody's anticipating doing. And then we've also put some verbiage in there that we request that everybody please take extra time to look at their actual expenditures and not take the same as last year, because there's been as looking at the agenda, you can tell there's a fair amount of budget adjustments. Other than that, it's just basically an updating time, and this is just an example of what one will look like. It says the mayor, but it don't have his true data or anything. It's just an example. This is the first one line. It's his numbers. And I request that the committee to accept the budget calendar and forms.
So we need a motion for that.
It says the finance director and the committee will set it.
County Mayor?
Mr.
Chairman, I do want to make sure that the committee is aware that it is reappraisal, and we quite possibly will not have a certified tax rate for the June meeting. So that typically runs into July and August before that certified tax rate will be calculated.
I remember 2019, we had it by June. What's different this year?
Well, it will depend on when the County Board of Equalization closes its session. That's when we will calculate the certified tax rate. So if we're able to get that, and I'm talking with the assessor on policies to get into place to ensure that happens, but I'm not in charge of that department. So I just want to make
that
sure.
continuation budget for that. And we voted on, 2019, we did vote on the tax rate in August, in all fairness, we got it for, when the final.
Could you adopt the calendar contingent upon the date of the, board? If the board meets later, then you know it may have to be, amended, because the issue you're gonna end up with if you, and this, the mayor's definitely correct, if we set the rate really low, then if we set the rate really early and the board hasn't met, then all those amounts that'll be appealed will be in your calculation. It'll artificially kick down your tax rate, cost you $1 million+ really, really easy and really quickly.
So you need a motion to approve the calendar with the condition of the tax rate coming in.
That the board has already met to get those appeals out before you can set the tax rate, based upon the availability of the certified tax rate after the Board of Appeals is met.
So moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Therefore, that means second reading either. But neither one, any waivers. All right, on the transfers, or through that discussion on budget.
Item 1 is the nonprofit allocation panel, and because County Commission does have control over the individual donations to nonprofits, this one, if you guys do so approval, need to go to the full board for a vote. It's already been appropriated for up to 105, and I think they did 103. So they have the total amount available, but the County Commission still will need to vote on the allocation, who receives what.
Got it. Motion by Commissioner Schmidt, do I have a second? Is there any discussion, Commissioner Fly?
Mr. Long, page number 25, says between major categories, but there's nothing in the first category.
Page number 25.
Yep. Page 24, page 1 and 2, there's so much on page 1.
You're on page 24.
It's a continuation.
Oh, I see.
But basically, you've already budgeted 105,000. They only used 102 of it, but the way the statute reads, it says that they are under the control of the county commission. So these have always sent back to the county commission to vote on the individual allocation. And since they're charitable, it does not require as long as these are considered charitable, it does not require a publication either.
Commissioner Wood?
I just, wanted to address my question to, I know Mr. Hyde was on that committee, so I was just wondering if you had any, I watched some of it, but not all of it. I had a couple of questions, like, how did you guys decide on, like, who got more and who got less? Was it based on need? Because we went as small as 2,500 or 1,500, and as high as 15,000.
It varied on what the people said to us when they came and how great the need was. And some of them were asking for funds, and we felt like their financial situation was such that other people needed it more than they did. But we had presentations from everyone who came. It was an all-day event.
And then, in financial management, we had discussed a Form 990. And, I know Mr. Long was involved in that conversation. I was just wondering if the county ever looks at the 990s of our nonprofits that we give money to address your answer that, we looked at the need, so that's to see how much
This
money.
committee did not look at that, no. I think the assumption was that was being handled elsewhere.
We verify that they file them, but we don't look at those because there's a couple of things. One, they have to actually fill out a form that the county commission's determined, and it tells what services they're providing to how many, and then they also fill out a form that shows, they certify whether chief financial officer, or it has to be an audit that actually shows their balances and revenue and expenditures. And another reason we don't look at the 990s closely, sometimes the amount of funds expended or available doesn't necessarily coordinate with usage, you know, to be very
It
judgmental.
doesn't. Can you explain to everyone what the 990 is in case they don't know?
You're required to file it with the Internal Revenue Service if you're a nonprofit, and if you fail to file it for 3 years, they can reject your status. That's one reason we verify it. Now, there is some exemptions. There's a smaller form for small nonprofits, and there's also nonprofits that are closely related to government, and some entities are exempt. But by and large, most of them are required to have.
And the 990 will include how much revenue that non-for-profit does receive.
They're actually allowed, they're required to make those available to the public, period. And then our rules, they file them with everything else that gets filed at the county clerk's office, so they are available for the public too, for disclosure.
So as far as your assumption, as far as I can determine, there is not a committee or any function that actually looks at the 990 and the commission.
No, but they do look at the financials of this committee does. They do get the form that has all their balances and revenue expenditures, it's not the 990 form. But the packet that we do provide has it in there. So it is available to the committee. It's in the packet that was brought to the board for them to look at, yes. We require them to all file. There's one that won't have one, I believe it's a city fire department that services the county, they won't have a 990. And I believe there's one nonprofit that was closely related to a city that was actually exempted out, but everybody else has one. And we verified that by the filing of the IRS. They were exempted.
How is that made available to the public?
The 990, they're supposed to make it available
Online?
I don't have to go back and look. There's some requirements for them to make it available. I think I'd have to go back and look. But as far as us, everything that we get from them, we file down with the county clerk's office. So it would be available for the public there. And then if anybody did make a record request, we keep them on a ledger. We're happy to show them to anybody too. So they're available multiple ways.
That would be a good thing to ask.
They are available multiple ways. I have trouble remembering how to get to them, and I utilize them, and I look at them, and I have trouble, I forget.
We make them file them because when we worked on the form several years ago, that was one of my concerns when we started. That was one I requested the commission required everybody to file because the statute's very clear. You have to be a nonprofit, and number two, the IRS actually has on their website, if you fail to file for 3 years, they're more than likely going to reject your status. So we were getting the initial filing that had no verification they still have their status.
We've got a question, Commissioner Brown.
I've got one answer. What is this December choices and options?
Or decisions.
What is that?
We had so many organizations to appear before us, but I think that was a group that educates children on choices that they make pertaining to personal relationships and so forth. It's a very good program. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I have actually sat in one at the magnet school. Excellent instructors and good information for kids.
I did a nonprofit that's a member of this person.
What about Salvation Center?
That is a medical organization for the disadvantaged. That was begun, I think, by Dr. Heel here in Gallatin years ago.
Any other questions on this? Do we have a motion on the floor to approve it? All right, who made the motion? I made the motion. Brown, seconded. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 2, payroll.
Item A is for the EMS. What we do is we budget all their ALS and the BLS separate, and their paramedics and EMTs, because we're trying to track the cost of the basic life support versus advanced to see which one of their profit and loss centers by the most. In the past, we did not divide up the overtime. We started doing it this year on the financials, but not during the budget because we didn't have a good tracking mechanism at the time. So this is something we've requested they do, and that's something they use the data for too. So but it's more of a presentation on item A.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, you need a motion and a second on that one, and approval.
Do I have a motion? So moved. Commissioner Barnes, and second by Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item B, drug court.
That's the two items, that's the item that the two judges were discussing a minute ago.
I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Klein. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, floor is open.
Item 58 through 59 is your other budgetaries, which are non-salary.
We're motion to discuss, not approve. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you approved that.
No, well, I think the question was, I'll ask the question, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe, Budget Chairman Chauvin asked, at the time, was this any money from the county, or was it a grant? And so, of course, obviously, I think you put the caveat, I've known approving this, if the state money goes away, this position goes away. So, understanding what the judge said, this is pulling money that they have from another line to cover the cost of that salary that this didn't really, the grant did not cover.
It's moving from one grant line item to the others. No, it's still within the grant.
It's still within the grant, okay, right.
Yes, they're both the grants, because it's got that 5080 and the 53300. Yeah. So they're wanting to use their grant funds in a different way because they didn't have the estimates at the beginning of the year and things have changed. That's my understanding.
Gotcha. Do you have any questions with that, or anybody got any questions? I got a motion to approve. First by Commissioner Schmidt, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item three.
Item 3 is the other interbudgetaries. I did not see anything that was controversial, and these are generally transferred during the month, and you guys approve them after the fact. I'm just here more or less to answer questions and get your confirmative vote, I guess is the better word to put it.
What is Skyline Bill?
Well, let's make a motion for discussion. We get a motion for discussion. Motion. Second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. We get that.
Okay, well, I see it's there.
Medical bill in the jail, yeah. You don't really have a choice on that, unfortunately.
What about this capital projects, resource authority, 181?
That's their bond. We put all their money into construction. They move to engineering when they're do engineering, so we start out all in construction. We don't have much to do.
Is this,
It's bond money we just transfer.
okay, so this is for their expansion that they're doing?
And my understanding is right now, I believe they're getting ready to bid and start moving forward. And it's more, they know more about that than me, when I talked to their director today, and it's my understanding that they're getting ready to move forward with the bid and construction phase.
So, we had one company come forward to bid on the contract, and they awarded it to that vendor. So it has been awarded.
So they're ready to move into the construction phase, is my understanding from the discussion today.
Mr. Long, how about the SWIG?
That's the one, that's the $7 million that you approved that had the multiple projects, and we're moving them between the projects to keep accountability, the way you can claim them and make sure they're proper.
But it all has to do with the water line?
It's the water line deal. This is the one that you guys approved back with the original budget and the matching. It's just, basically allowing us to keep them separate from the project. Okay. That's the Westmore one, and I forget what the top one is.
Can I ask you to discuss, just so that we're all refreshed, I see the one item for 3,300 for the Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department boundary survey.
That's the one that you guys approved to do the, I think it's through the ARPA, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
That's the survey portion of the property that they're gonna deed over to the county to build the building, my understanding.
So they are gonna do that over for us.
Well,
Or have they, I guess.
We're working on it. I think you may want to ask Mr. Isabel, but right now, when I talk to Ms. Northweed, their anticipation is they're gonna deed it to us after we get the appropriate amount surveyed.
You know, we have to create a parcel for them to deed to us. That's what boundary survey Yeah, that wasn't part of the discussion.
So we're gonna leave them with
Yeah, we would
that
have to,
piece, and we're gonna take this little piece?
as far as I know, we have not discussed that other building. We've only discussed doing this boundary survey to build a new building. We can bring that into the discussion.
We can talk about it. I mean, I don't think it's budget. Do y'all understand what we're talking about?
I understand, and I thought we had postponed the surveying part of it because we were kind of stuck on if we were even gonna do it, and then there was conversation of whether we could do it all on the property as it existed, and then we found out that we owned all of that property, I believe, that was a dump at one point in time. There's a lot of confusion over that.
That's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
I thought it had been moved forward. I'm sorry if I was mistaken.
I'm not
When Mr. Northleaf had sent it up to me, I thought it had already been approved, and that's why I
It was
let
our
it go through.
impression that it was.
And I may
Is
have been.
that right? Okay.
I thought so. I could have been confused. I may have been mixed up because she sent it up and we let it through because we thought it was already approved earlier. It was budgeted and we thought it was actually, approved to move forward.
Yeah, I know the building was budgeted, but I remember, that was one of the first things we ever hit
And there was
over a year ago.
And there was a discussion of just doing the survey and the topical portion, and then it came back and forth, and then you guys approved the whole budget for the building. So when you did that, it was my understanding that it all went as a package. But if I was wrong, then I apologize. I'm not. That was my understanding, but I could be wrong.
It's been so confusing, I don't know, so.
The same thing as anytime, probably the best practice is not to budget anything till you're ready to move forward. That keeps all the confusion, because same thing, she looks like Miss Northleaf will look for a budget. That'll be her first, and then she kind of looks to us if there's an issue. I'm usually the first person to flag any of those. But I thought this one was all fine, and I apologize if it wasn't, because I transferred the funds.
No apology necessary. I'm gonna dig into this one though.
And I'll be honest, I could be
see
mistaken.
what I can go back to my notes and find.
Any more discussion on, senior budget, Jerry? I've got a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brown, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, old business, finance department, $18,456 from Portland Airport grant matches from Portland Airport, committed fund balance, return remainder of funds to hospital fund balance, second reading. Entertain a motion for discussion.
Make a motion to discuss.
Commissioner Klein, and a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Miller, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I, they did include correspondence here requesting if you could, and then I think if there's a possibility to keep that they had actually started working on the grant processes. I was just saying, they sent us a correspondence and I included it in the packet, on page 70 and 71.
So I'm looking at page 60. And it said that 10/31/23, the committed fund balance for Portland Airport grant matches is $134,176, and that's from the hospital fund. I assume that's where that's been just from,
Yes, sir, and that's before this 18, so yeah, before this 18.
for the additional request for 18.
Right, so you'd have to minus, no, you have to minus 18 from it.
That's what I thought, okay. And, again, this is one of those things that, so our motion is to minus this out and take what's the remainder and put it back in our fund balance, back in the hospital fund. Help me understand what the,
And I think it was the same gentleman that was talking earlier from the airport. They sent us a correspondence, because I guess they read the minutes or somebody, that they're making a request to keep the $135,000 because they're already in the process of applying for some grants, is kind of what I'm reading from the correspondence.
my question is.
They're making a request. I just want to make you aware of it, that's in the
Sure.
packet.
I know I had concerns, because our hospital fund got depleted, and the insurance from the hospital fund was funding several things. And so, is this, once this is this just committed to them right now, and we're not continuing to increase this? This is just like
They committed an amount to them for one time to do this, and I believe it was and I'd have to go back, I think it was $250, and the original was up $250 of that a year. So that was the understanding. There wasn't really a date or anything put on it, but it hasn't been getting larger, it's just being spent out. But I was just making you aware that they did send the correspondence. I'm not trying to talk for or against.
I'm just drawing that fund source, it only has $200,000 to begin with, so it's just a suggestion is that, I don't know if this is probably what to do, but, I don't know where the stop move is from moving forward in a, perpetuity until it completes, just kind of like, this is kind of the last cycle, for these funds, because we're running out. Do you know the balance on here, what that is, like 400,000, 300,000 minimum?
I would guess around 7 something.
Okay.
Yeah, about 7 or 8.
So we put some money back into it, I think, last year.
Yeah, you brought some
So
stuff
we're
back.
going back, and it's going to go back.
The big thing that took the funds was the, overpass commitment over here
Yeah.
at the road.
Yeah, $19. So just right now, was this committed during our June budget cycle, or is this like?
What we did, it was committed by resolution several years ago, and what we do is we will put it on your budget and balance sheet until the county commission, one or two things it's spent, or you guys come back and you unassigned or uncommitted.
But this is still rolling from maybe a year or two ago?
Oh, several years ago.
Okay, it's just still rolling down from that 250.
Right.
Process.
And the time of discussion was they give them a 250 total. They could use 50 a year to try to match grants. That was because
So we're not adding 250 next year. It's not been that high again.
It was a one-time allocation.
Okay, so this is still just one time.
It's the remainders of it. And I believe the amount was 250. I can verify if I need to.
Any questions? Sorry, I called off the discussion. Commissioner Boyd, any questions?
Well, I was just wondering, it feels like that we give them first take at this money for indefinite until they decide that they're going to use it. Like, we could have other people out there that would like a grant match, but we've got it tied up here waiting. So it's not that this is not a fabulous use for it, but we're just holding it from anyone else that might come forward with a use for it. That's my only thought. That we've set it aside to reserve it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's like, the question would be is, make a motion, because it is, we can relook at this during the budget cycle, in June, revisit it, since they are using matching grants right now. I do a question if we did something different with what would break, anything, so I don't want to break something in the middle of the process, so.
Right, and don't want to encourage them to spend for something they don't need just to spend money to get it done before somebody else wants it. They were promised the money.
So, we're just chipping away at what that amount was.
So what's their number right now?
That 134 is on the bottom of the sheet. Before the 18, it's like 130. 134, 176 minus 18,456. So a little over.
I would motion to leave it as is. I mean, they've been good stewards. The prior commission said you get, as much time as you need to find a good use for this. They seem to be finding a good use, but just so we know that we've set aside money that we picked winners.
So is that a motion to approve?
I would make a motion to continue with it, to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Klein, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Clarification, did you remove the return, the remainder balance, or are you leaving it aside? You're leaving it aside, correct?
That's what it is.
That was your,
That was what she was confirming. All right.
This is, yeah.
Passes unanimously, so, item B, City of Gallatin, $2.4 million for parking garage not received.
So, Mayor brought us a check for $1.492 million Friday.
$1,492,503.75.
Around it.
Do you have any explanation on that?
No, I cannot offer any methodology in coming up with that number. That may have been the balance in the checkbook at the time, I don't know. Here's what we are with it. We're working on the stormwater issue with the city, and so we expect to get the remaining balance as we resolve that issue.
So they are still committed to paying that balance?
They are committed to
Okay.
Yes.
So this is just for information only?
Yes. Well, there was a question because it dragged on so long. We have contracts tied up, so we just want to make sure that the committee is aware.
Okay.
that me and the mayor was making sure you were aware that they had.
Any questions on this, make a motion to discuss, or we should have done that already, so, make a motion to discuss, Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Miller, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Mr. Mayor, I'm trying to remember, what was the issue with the storm drain that they're leveraging now?
It's actually how are we gonna build it out to connect it to the city system, through the drainage. We've got the plan that they're working on that we should have next week. I'll have more information then. They presented some alternatives. We talked about those, but nothing was set until next week.
Was this a surprise, like the sewer lines that showed up?
It was not, well, it wasn't that it was a surprise, it just seems like it was put off.
Oh.
And it just came at the last minute. It should have been discussed much earlier, but it wasn't. So, yeah.
So our architect didn't resolve it with the city. I guess it would be traffic or flood control department. So it just got dropped.
Yeah.
How strange. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this one? All right, I guess we're gonna put it on business for next month, January. New business appropriations, county mayor, $50,000 three-star grant applied in June. We can motion for discussion. Second by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Miller, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, floor is open. You have Commissioner Brown, get one for the mayor.
Yeah, $50,000. I saw back on page 113, two entities, two large, nebulous entities are going to get $25,000 apiece. I can understand the second part right there, which is primarily going toward the schools. First part, what's a workforce intelligence template that you're going to be, that seems like the thrust of what this other $25,000 is going to be used for.
Yeah, it's basically an interactive database that will be for students. It's a collaborative work between the students, the high schools, colleges, and the technical colleges. All of them are coming together, and we're building this networking for those that are really not going to college, but have opportunities within the workforce. And that's out of the meetings that we had, that emerged as the main trend that we need to address in workforce development, is meeting the need of those students. And that's what this template's designed for. It puts jobs with students.
So who's going to be creating this?
The umbrella is Forward Sumner, and it works with all the schools. They've been working on this for several years through the Workforce Development Cabinet, and that's where the last funding went to, and where this one would be earmarked.
So this grant is this a state grant?
It's a state grant, yeah.
This
It's part of the 3-Star program. We meet as a group, and then we have a cabinet meetings, and then we also have different entities come together, and ideas emerge from what the needs are. Workforce development is a big key.
Any other questions?
This one will require 2 votes, or you'll have to waive the second reading. It's not a reimbursement, recovery, repayment, capital, or emergency.
We can or cannot waive the second?
It will require a second reading or to waive the second reading. It's unanimous, it'll require one.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve
With, without a second reading, just waive it. Have a second?
I'd like to, amend that to like have a second reading, so have more time to think it over.
Yeah.
I'll amend my motion to, include a second reading if that's what the body wants.
Do we have a second?
So
Second,
this,
Commissioner Thompson.
this grant is earmarked for the workforce development, so we either use it for that or we send it back to economic state.
Is there an expiration date on our acceptance of it? Do we have time to think it over?
Yeah, y'all have time. Yeah. Yeah, we can punt till next month if we need to.
All right, so a motion by Commissioner Schmidt to approve, and you go to second reading, second by Commissioner Boyd.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item two, the new business approach, appropriations, Finance Department, new purchasing payroll positions. This is forwarded on from the Financial Management Committee. Entertain a motion for approval or discussion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Klein to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, just forward.
It will require second reading, so it'll be back next month.
Okay, so we can't wait this.
Well, I'm not asking to waive it, because right now we're still in, working some of the details. I'm gonna meet with Toby on the purchasing.
Okay.
So right now, it'd be good to go back for a second reading while we're still trying to finalize the
Move that to a
details.
second reading back to, in January. Item B, under new business tax matters, one, property tax exemption for the Portland Preservation Foundation. I think this is, Mr. Dominion, is this, what? And, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules, if we get second, have Mr. Dominion that has to come speak towards this.
Second.
All fair side? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Billy Domingo. I live at 1419 Highway 259, Portland, Tennessee. I am the chairman of the Portland Preservation Foundation and have been for about 12 years. We started as a committee that had things to do with a 3-star program and also a downtown program. And then just some months later, we created the Portland Preservation Foundation. We got 501c3 status. And our first project was an old boarding house just across the railroad tracks. And it was on the 10 most endangered buildings in the state of Tennessee. We got that. We secured a couple of grants, and we did get on the National Register of Historic Places, the only one in Portland at the time. I think there's been one added since then. But the property in question is the Temple Theater. And our Preservation Foundation never intended to own a theater. But that property became available for us to buy. It was a distressed bank sale, so we bought it. And the theater had been closed in 1956. And there's 2 sides to it. It has about 8,000 square feet, 4,000 on each side. And so we relied totally on donations and volunteer labor. I worked on it personally for 10 years. But we got a lot of help from other contractors in Portland. But still, you know, we do everything we could do, run out of money, and then do some more. And we got one side completely done, which has the restrooms and has a banquet room and all the support side. And believe me, it is very, very nice. It really is. But we got the banquet, all that side done, and started to. They would have birthday parties, but I think we had 3 events in there, and then COVID hit. So, but in the meantime, we were continually working on the theater side, which is a 240-seat theater. And there's never been, it was Marsh plate glass, but they just used that old theater side as storage. But all the wood floor and all that had been torn out. And so it is a total restoration from the dirt up. And it is, we had the thing I handed out to you, the turquoise colored thing, our mission statement, that was created 10 years ago. The only thing that's been changed about it is our website and our phone number. And since then, and what we wanted, our goal was for people to start coming back downtown. My my wife and I went to a thing on New Year's Eve in Franklin, Tennessee, at the Franklin Theater. We went to the Old People Show at 9 o'clock and got back home early. But anyway, when we come back through downtown Portland, there wasn't a car there. And so our goal is to bring people back downtown. Well, we've been operating the theater bar since the first of this year, and it has been amazing to us because people will come in before shows, the doors open an hour before the shows. We've had Grand Ole Opry stars there, and just great shows. But they'll come in and, hi, how are you doing? Hadn't seen you in 6 months, and people are getting back together. Then after the show, they won't leave. They go out, especially in the summertime. They mold around outside and make pictures there at the strawberries and all that stuff. So we just wanted to continue doing what our mission was to start with. And believe me, it is totally nonprofit. And the state, we sent in for nonprofit, for tax exemption from the state, and they told us after, it took about 9 months for them to tell us that we would have to send it through the county commission because we sell tickets. If we didn't sell tickets, we couldn't pay a light bill, much less anything else. But what we're asking for is property tax exemption from the first of the year on, and my understanding, we don't want, it is a struggle, I'll just tell you, it's a struggle. The taxes are about $5,000 a year, that would help us very much. And other theaters that I know of, most of them, guess what, are owned by the city or the county, and y'all don't own it, believe me. And neither does the city of Portland. But that's about all I have to say. I'd answer any questions, but I would also love for any of you, believe me, Google our website, come to a show, and you would absolutely love it.
Is that the one Cam2 is involved?
It is, yes, sir, it is.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
It is really cool.
Any questions for Mr. Goodman? Mr. Boyd?
I was just wondering, how has this been handled in the past?
Well, it's my understanding that Galveston has this type exemption theater here.
It came through the commission also?
It would have to get the exemption.
Actually, I think I was on the commission when it did. I'm not sure, but, and believe me, being here tonight don't make me want to run. Charlie, you.
So, yeah, generally the state approves all exemptions of 501c3, but under TCA 67-5-223 gives the commission, and it takes a 2/3 vote, to exempt performing arts centers. So it is strictly construed to be those performing arts, which is what they qualify for. And y'all have the authority to exempt the taxes for that entity. But it does take a 2/3 vote of the commission.
And the Galveston Theater, is that independent as well?
It's a 501c.
But it's not the city got it, no, same situation. You have that out.
To my knowledge, it is, and to my knowledge, matter of fact, we checked today, they don't have property tax.
Well,
I have one question for the attorney. Once this is granted, if there's something sketchy, and Bill is certainly not a sketchy person, but if there's something sketchy going on, can we rescind?
yeah, I don't think you would have a problem doing that. It would just have to be tabled just like it's being requested.
Okay.
And then you could, because they don't meet the statute that was referenced, it is now gone.
Okay.
The county commission have that authority with that.
Yes.
Galveston Theater,
Just doing everything in reverse, basically.
Yeah, the state also, anytime a 501c is granted exemption, if something changes, the state has the authority to remove that exemption at any time or modify it in some way.
any other questions?
I'm gonna be consistent with my love of old buildings, and I've been to this one, and they've done an amazing job on it, so I will be in favor of approving their status, not.
Any other questions for Mr. Goodman before we close this funds. I'll make a motion to group and approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. See other items. One is the Health Department emergency purchase order for fire alarm system replacement.
This is reporting to the Budget Committee to ask you to report it on the County Commission. I did grant him an emergency purchase without bidding because the fire marshal said he had to December 15th to fix the alarm, or they were gonna shut down the building, and we were concerned we couldn't get the bid in time, so, there was a contractor that agreed to do it in that amount of time.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I actually just want to make a motion for discussion for a quick question on this.
Motion by discussion by Commissioner Schmidt, second by Commissioner Miller, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Floor is open, Commissioner Schmidt.
There was one part of it, it said that they may need a lift. I can't remember what page it was on. I was reading it from my email, and I was just curious.
They need a lift. I don't recall that, but that don't mean it's not there, and I just don't remember.
I don't know if Al is still here.
Me and him talked about it quite a bit, so I probably will know.
It's also page 161, in case you guys want to know when it starts.
That's I'm sorry, 170.
No, it's the top of it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Got that. Read the PO. Let's see if I can find Mr. Smith's question. The contract's back a few pages.
What was your question, Commissioner Schmidt?
I was wondering, do they know if they need a lift, how much that's going to be? Because it's saying here, any lifts or lift rentals on 172, but, you know, when I looked at the email, it was a little bit
I
different.
doubt it includes any.
Mr. Hendricks is here, if, you would, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Oh, yeah, I'll second your
It's
motion.
basically a fire panel.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? How would you mind?
Yeah, it's definitely, 4 hours, I can get in and out for about $180. I've already talked to, Sunbelt regarding it. What I'm gonna do, I've already talked to my, custodian and county maintenance. I've got lights, when you come in our building, they got that 2-story,
Kind of like her, yeah.
and I'm gonna go ahead and change those lights out to LED, so we don't have to ever worry about them. While we're up there, my custodian and I have already, and even when we have the lift, the bust of, the head, that Dodson, Mr. Dodson, and the pictures and all, we're gonna go ahead and clean and get those updated and all, so I'll never have to get back in there with a lift again. So we're gonna knock out 2 birds with 1 stone when we're doing this. Because I've gotta get up and change all the fire alarm, smoke detectors, and then all the pulls on the wall.
So did you say you have to rent one, or they already, I didn't hear, obviously.
It's up to us to rent one.
Is rent one, okay. So do you know, is that cost built into this, or are you anticipating them to come back for?
I've got that in my budget.
Okay,
I'll take care of that on the side, so.
Okay.
So is it wasn't part of the, what we approved originally?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not gonna run over.
Was this, state fire marshal or local?
Local. Yeah.
Does the state not overrule, do they not, I know with the school system, we pushed a law through the legislature where the state really, would overrule would have authority. The city cannot regulate a county, according to this law with the school.
Yeah, I've never seen a state fire marshal in our building.
No, they won't come.
Okay.
But I'm just saying the city does not have, I don't think they're gonna have the ultimate authority to do it without a state fire marshal approval.
I think what he's basing this on is my annual alarm, sprinkler, riser, service, maintenance, or making sure it's working. I haven't got it done because of the computer on the sprinkler head unit. We're afraid if we put it in standby and it goes off, we'll never shut it off. It will just keep ringing. And that's why he hasn't checked the sprinkler system. We think it's fine, it's not hurting, we just didn't do it that day. I didn't want to have 5 hours of the staff sitting there with that ringing in the ears and all, and trying to get it shut off. So as soon as, Turner, comes in, they're coming in next week and we'll knock it out. if the Kentucky comes in right behind them, checks that I'm all up, good to go, we can comply and done. So, yeah, I've knocked out 2 birds with a stone, putting LED lights in. There's some bulbs out, and we just have to replace them. We haven't got that lift in, but that's gonna be, I thought that'd be efficient with knocking out 2 birds while we're doing it all the time.
And I can say I granted him the PO exception because there was a big risk of shutting the building down, and I've already reported to the mayor, 2 requirements I've reported to the mayor and the county commission, so I'm asking this committee to, report it to the county commission because there was concern of them actually shutting the building down, so I went ahead and approved it.
Any more questions?
What's the square footage of
17,000. And the upstairs, and then it's full basement.
You guys would have killed him and shut the health department down.
We have argued with
Bring it back to order, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt, second by Commissioner Klein, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item, C2, drug court copy release approval, do I have a motion? Second for approval, or?
Yeah, approved.
All right, motion approved, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That, second one we initiated, or anything?
No, none, this one, the one you just did, sending to commissions is reporting.
Yeah.
These 2 are approving contracts, and you're not asking for additional appropriations, so they wouldn't require a second.
Item 3, the ECC Comcast multi-year contracts, is there any questions? Make a motion for approval or discussion? Charles here, probably, is that here to speak on this? Again? All right, motion for discussion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Brown. How about, can we change that to rule? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Robert's here to, if you guys have any questions about this.
what's multi-year, how many years? 3.
Yeah, it's standard.
Any other questions?
Is this our share of the ECC? It's a partnership, correct?
We will just pay, he's here to explain the contract, it'll go through their expenditures, so we get reimbursed for everything but 32%, so they will all pay their share. But you guys still have to approve any multi-year contracts because you're the only appropriating power for the fiscal agent for the entire amount.
As I recall, he cut a really good deal on this. Is that not the case, David?
Yeah, and it's pretty much standard what we get it.
Yeah.
I think they worked with Robert. Yeah, that's pretty much, I think it's pretty close to the last one you guys approved for his department, if not exact.
And this is also a big upgrade for them. Currently, they're running across copper wire, what we call it, very outdated. It's like having a home internet system. And this is very peculiar to the administration office there for ECC, but any outside agencies, including fire and or EMS service, that's how they access our CAD system inside the private network that resides in our line. So currently, right now, we have a 200 download, but we don't have a 25 upload. So it's easy for them to gather information from ECC, but pushing it out, especially in times of emergency, or bundling it up, it's pretty much common. Mr. Miser, who's our Comcast rep, we were sometimes it's 150% utilization, so we're really bottlenecking this, especially as I said, if there's emergencies going on. So this upgrade is going to take it to a 200 upload and download. That will alleviate the problems that we're seeing with our responders.
And there's really no negotiation on these contracts with them.
I have a question. Because I'm always worried about our ARPA end date. I think I might have asked you, Mr. Long, is this the money we could spend for ARPA?
On this line,
On this?
with us doing that cost to it, the ARPA, the revenue replacement, you can, well, there's a few exclusions, but generally you can use it for anything that you pay locally.
I just worry about our.
This one I would think, probably not the best thing. What I would think, especially on this revenue replacement here, I would think next month you'd want to start looking at things you can buy quickly. So here's a prime example. You got 200 and whatever we have available. I'd have to go back and look. If you determine that's what you got available, the revenue replacements you could use to buy something like ambulances. So the next year, instead of buying them through your capital, buy ambulances or patrol cars.
Okay.
Because they're locally allowed, you just expend every dollar out of the revenue replacement and get it gone. The The one's gonna be more problematic is your general, because it's gonna be used for finite purposes, and they're long run, like water line, broadband, just drainage, and these take longer periods of time, so we're running up on that pretty quick.
Yeah.
You've really got a year to get all that money committed, and you're gonna get it out right now. So we're really getting down the road on that. You're probably gonna look at it closer next month. Figure out if there's something you guys can do to speed it forward.
And not this.
Probably not.
I'll take your.
Probably not this, because it would
It's
be under,
complicated.
it would be under revenue replacement in the cost share, so I think the revenue replacement's not gonna be an issue. We just go ahead and just order ambulances or patrol cars and get them in. Because you got a year to order what you're gonna commit it by contract, and another year to pay it, so they'll be injured. It's not even 2 years, we got a big problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Would that help?
I'm looking at the previous contract, it was for 5 years, why did it go to 3 years?
I'm not sure. I wasn't here during that time. Right now, and everything we've referenced is always a 3-year standard.
Any more questions? Close, discussion, bring it back to order, do I have a motion? Motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Klein, do I have a second? Second, Commissioner Brown, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 4, Development Services, Holland Drainage Projects, authorization to proceed with construction bid. Do we have a motion to, or, okay, make a motion for discussion.
Motion to discuss.
Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Miller, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Point is right here, you won't be appropriating any new funds. What Josh is asking, they're done with the engineering portion, they wanna move on forward. The 665 is already appropriated, he just wanted the budget committee's, okay to move forward on it.
I'll make a motion to move forward.
Motion by Commissioner Schmidt to move forward, second by Commissioner Miller, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And item B is the, Sumner County Comprehensive Plan discussion. Mr. Sutter's here, I'll make a motion to, suspend the rules. Second by Commissioner Klein, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Josh, this is, a little background, something that we discussed about tightening up what's the 2035 plan, as well as how to do that, what's best plan for our region.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So, as Chairman Maxwell said, background on this, what this is there's a project that's been on the books for a couple of years to update the county's comprehensive land use plan. So the plan that we have on the books right now is called the 2035 plan. Y'all probably heard about that, plan over here. It was adopted in 2010 by the Sumner County Commission. It's a plan that the county's planning commission is required by law to have a general plan to guide development of the county, essentially. And so that's what that plan fulfills. Hasn't been touched in about 13 years now, give or take. And so it is quite out of date in a lot of ways. I think number one, it doesn't necessarily match the vision in some ways, probably of the county commission, the county leadership in general. When you talk about things like green lines, walkability, there's probably some new discussion that needs to be had about that. But over and above that, or at least equal to it, there's big components of things that have changed over the years with the county's infrastructure, policies, a lot of the things that have changed over the years that are not reflected by that plan. A real good example of that is New Highway 109. New Highway 109 was constructed up through the middle of the county. Probably it's the biggest transportation project the county has yet seen come to fruition, ever, I guess. And it's not reflected on this plan at all, the plan that we have on the books. So the planning commission deals with the frustration of projects coming through. We want to know how the comp plan deals with them. We don't know, because the comp plan doesn't envision a road even being there, where these projects are going. So that's just kind of an example of the reason that needs to be updated. So a number of years ago, the previous county commission elected to proceed with a project to do that, to update it. The contract that was signed between the county and the Greater National Regional Council, GNRC, at that time for about $251,000. That contract was approved and executed April 28, 2021. They got started on the initial work task at that time, started doing public engagement, meeting with the planning commission, the county commissioners at that time, data collection, a number of other things. We got into election season, and around that time, after that, we reached out to GNRC and said, hey, let's pause work, and we got a new commission coming in. And essentially, to be honest, what was in my mind at the time is I don't want to waste a bunch of money on a plan that's going to get created and potentially not approved, right? So we hit the pause button with GNRC at that time, and have continued to have the pause button hit since then. No work has been done since summer of 2022. And so what we've done, I think there's a consensus, seems to be, with perhaps not moving forward with GNRC. I've had conversations with them about that. And the contract provides some, there's a provision in the contract, what's called termination for convenience. We've let them know that we're going to be terminating that contract in 30 days notice. So January 1st of this coming year, 2024, that contract will go away, essentially. It's an amicable parting, I guess you might say. And so there is no contract effective January 1st. But that said, there is money. There are funds that are still available. $213,461.35 is what we have in the account right now remaining on that. And so I wanted to I had conversations with Commissioner Mansfield, the folks that are on the planning commission about this, a number of other folks, county mayor, we talked about it. You know, what does the county commission want to do? With the funds that are available, there are updates that are needed to the comprehensive plan. And so just thinking about it today, I just kind of drew this up. There's a few options you guys have. Number one, you know, doing nothing is always an option. Just take the money and send it back to the general fund. We don't update the comprehensive plan. That's an option if that's what y'all want to do. Pros, there's a good bit of cost savings there. Cons, as I mentioned, there are needs. The comprehensive plan, it does need to update in a lot of ways. Even if it's not a full scale, scrap it and throw it away and start all over again with a totally new plan, there are a lot of components that do need updating. So that's your cons. So you'll be left with what you have.
Do you mind if I interrupt you, please? Just speak. I'd like to hear a little, speak a little bit to the problems that are conflicting with our zoning resolution and this plan, where these things are basically combated, you know, and countering each other in a negative manner. Like what?
I think they're right now the county zoning resolution contradicts the comp plan and vice versa in a lot of ways. Some of them can be fixed through adjustments to the zoning resolution. When, you know, parts of the county are called to have larger lots than currently do, and potentially fixing and sending to the county commissioner before long. There are a lot of other things that are in that plan that are not reflected in the zoning that probably the county commission doesn't want reflected in the zoning. Things like you know, the new Shackle Island area is reflected as a high growth area with a whole lot of plans for a higher density kind of a development pattern, almost like a mini city there, you might say. I don't think that's the vision of this commission. I'm not a political genius, but I have to say I don't think it is.
I'll interject. It's not.
Absolutely not.
It's not the will of the citizens of Shadow Island.
No.
Even people who don't agree with some a lot of stuff. So I think that the common unifying theme that I've late people reach out to me about. I wouldn't necessarily call them friends, but we can agree on this.
And so there's things like that you know, the county commission, I feel like would probably like to have another chance to take a look at all that, you know, and revisit and establish. Every commission essentially has the opportunity to, actually I take that back, not every commission has the opportunity to express its vision through the creation of a plan like this. The opportunities to update a plan, you don't want to do it every 2, 3, or 4 years necessarily, but we're at past a decade now is the time, and so this is kind of an opportunity for the commission to have its will kind of its vision established in a plan like this. But as I said, options do nothing. Number 2, put out an RFP. We put an RFP out there requesting proposals to see what kind of interest we get from private firms that are out there. As I said, there's $213,000 that remain. The pros, you'll probably get a decent response with that amount of money. It'll have a lower staff impact, and the final product is going to be pretty. It's probably, you know, these firms have graphic designers and those kinds of folks on staff that do that kind of thing all the time and do a lot of these plans. Cons, be expensive. They're going to want to use every penny that's in the budget. That's the way it works. That's business.
The selected contractor, you run the risk, and there's been other plans that have been adopted by the county in the past, or not necessarily adopted, but paid for by the county in the past, but that contractor probably didn't get the county. They didn't get where everybody was coming from necessarily. It kind of came up with a vision that they didn't match, even what the previous commissions had. And so those plans weren't adopted. That's what you don't want to do, is get a plan together that's just wasting money. And so that is another con. 3 would be more of a staff-led approach, updating the plan, using third-party assistance. When I say staff, I'm talking about myself and Mark Boyd, county engineer, and the folks in my office, resources we have in county government, and you can hopefully secure some funds so we can, if we need to, for GIS, which is mapping services, data analysis, graphic design, some of those kinds of things. That's kind of your hybrid third option. It would probably be a lot cheaper. The county would have a lot more control in the process and the final product, because we work for you guys. You know what I mean? We work for the county. But cons is probably going to be a little bit more utilitarian than what a whiz bang firm out of Charlotte or Atlanta or something like that is going to put together. But it's utilitarian. That's okay as long as it spells out the vision. And then one thing I've highlighted there, if y'all are interested in that approach, there are potential workload issues with that. There is a position that you guys have funded in this budget that I have not been able to fill yet. The salary has not been shown to be competitive. We've looked at a lot of peer communities with similar positions, and they're making a good bit more money. And so if y'all are interested in number 3, I have a proposal, as I usually do when I come to you guys, to help me make do with less. I'll put it that way. And I'd like to talk to y'all about it, not necessarily make a decision, but give you more information.
Obviously, Nick can ask Josh questions, but I'll just tell you my opinion. Number 3 is looking good to me, only from, we're not looking for cutting out a designer, that's my major. But the more direct control of the process and final product, that's what the citizens are wanting us to do, is have a hands-on approach. I think that's pretty damn wrong, in my opinion. And we're not looking for somebody to tell us what we need. We're looking, at the citizens telling us that. I agree. I think you get 1 and 2, you get a separation of what is the intended result, and it's a lot more. I think it's harder to fight through those, but I think 3 is the most appealing to me. But that's my personal opinion.
Mr. Chairman, I've been keeping up with this through Commissioner Miller. Our people who are working with Josh are doing a really diligent job, hard work, and they have accomplished so much to stalemate the things that had been pushed through prior. Anything that says Greater Nashville, I don't want anything to do with it automatically. But I would prefer that our commission, and I would be part of this, I'm not a part of this committee, but that we let them keep this money to do the work within their body. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and I just say, go for it.
I think the feeling of the citizenry of Sumner County is fairly unanimous, and Josh has his fingers on the pulse of that through us, through the planning commission, through the commission in general. And so I would be in favor of giving them the money and we don't need big dog in clinic shows. We need the utilitarian aspects. We need to analyze our land mass and the roads, and we understand where we're falling short in industry and commercial, where we're way, way over on housing, and to balance the economy of Sumner County. I think we can do a better job than anybody we can hire outside.
Here's going to be the issue as far as operational. The PO was done in the capital projects fund, so when we kill the PO, the appropriation is going to disappear, and the county commission can reappropriate it, but it was tax levied over into the capital projects fund. Josh is saying he needs an additional position. We couldn't do with that, but right now we're in December. So the question being, if Josh right now told you, based on his advertisement, how much money he needed, he's got enough for the rest of the year. I think his concerns are probably for next year. So if you guys say, hey, we'll cover you that amount next year, that could get him a staff member without adjusting the staffing budget.
And there is no new staff.
No, the one that's funded, they don't have enough money. He's saying the 85 that you guys gave him won't pull in the person he needs.
That's right.
And he's got, right now, 85 will more than cover a really good staff member that he needs for the rest of the year, but he couldn't guarantee it next year unless you guys guarantee it's what he's probably going to tell you.
And so if y'all, I'll show you what I was thinking here today. And like I said, it's asking you guys to help me make do with less. So there are very few people that will do that. And I may regret this. This is just something that I've been watching.
No, you will.
And I wanted to talk to you about it. Not necessarily for a decision today, but I currently have a vacant position in my office. It's the assistant to the director position. I've kept it vacant for a few months. We saw in the last budget, we consolidated a couple of positions. We're going through. I'm trying to make a conscious effort to really right size my department. I think we're working through as Commissioner Klein, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Collins was saying, we're working through a backlog of old projects that are still coming through the planning commission. The new stuff coming through, we're seeing probably in the future on the horizon, workload get a little bit easier probably, which will free us up for some things. And so I've got a vacant assistant to the director position right now that I've kept vacant for a few months, frankly, to see if anything breaks. I do that sometimes just as a managerial thing. If there's a position that's out there and I don't find the best candidate that I can possibly find, I'll watch it for a little while and see how we deal with it at the staff level. And as I think anybody that deals in my office, I hope you say, I've got the best office. I've got the best employees I've ever worked with in my career. And I don't just say that. I can be a pretty critical person, but they do a phenomenal job, and they've done a good job. Since that position's been taken, we've figured out ways to reallocate that workload. But it is an increased workload. But I don't know. I think we can get by without it, particularly with the assistant county planner position. That's going to help me to move things around and reallocate responsibilities and that kind of thing throughout the office. But what I'm thinking I would like to get some input from you guys and run by you is what I want to do is take that vacant assistant to the director position and to break it across a number of positions. Like a whole lot of people are, inflation's killing everybody. I'm looking at positions that I have, position number 1 and number 2 right there. Number 2 and number 3, staff planner for many specialists. When I look at private sector peers, of course you can do salary studies all day long. When I look at private sector peers, there's a firm that does a lot of work here in Gallatin and Sumner County. They got a position that does very similar things to what these folks do. Makes $20,000 more a year than what that position does. I can't compete. That's one of the reasons I can't get that assistant to the director position filled with a really good quality person. And so what I would like to do, if you guys are okay with it, is take that existing position and break it across these 5 positions. The first 4, especially 2, 3, and 4, the duties of that existing assistant director position are being borne by those folks right now, and I think they can handle it. And I'd like to compensate them for being able to do it. The stormwater manager position, I wanted to get more money for him last year, and the budget wasn't able to get it done. But since we consolidated that engineering technician position, if you guys remember Brian, who just worked in my office under Marshall, Joe has stepped up, and if I could call him an assistant county engineer, he's not an engineer, so I can't call him that. That's what he's doing though. He's out doing road tests on roads. He's doing things that aren't stormwater related, and he's good at it. And I'd like to keep him in that team. And so doing what I'm proposing right here, and of course David would need to check my numbers. I ran through his spreadsheet and like Santa Claus checked them twice, but I may have missed something there. But the numbers that I have is that the total salary benefits for the position that exists is $71,994. Total impact of what I'm proposing to do is $53,595, and so overall you're still resulting in an $18,000 annual savings with this proposal. And it would get more money for position number 1, which is that assistant county planner position, which will help me get this comp plan done in-house. Can't do it right now, I don't think, without it. I think there's just too much going on right now. But with that position filled, I have confidence that I can get that done. And the other ones, that'll help me keep those folks. Because without them, y'all brag on me all the time. I know David likes to brag on me, and then other folks do too. But without them to help me get this stuff done, without them, you guys wouldn't like them much, I guess.
How about on you too?
I appreciate that, but they're good folks, and it takes years to get people trained up the way that some of my folks are, and so I really want to try to keep them.
So I'm understanding you're eliminating a position, you're increasing the workload output of the department, and you're saving money. Is that correct?
Those are the goals.
Okay.
It's not gonna make you, like, you eliminating this assistant to the position, I know that they're figuring a little more load here, but that's not gonna affect your.
No, it's because I've got good folks.
I agree.
I've got good folks.
Okay.
Not sort of replicating yourself as an assistant.
Well, that's right. That's right. That position's gonna extend me a whole lot. It's extend me a whole lot. It's gonna be able to help do some of the stuff we're gonna have to do with this comp plan update as far as public outreach and, hopefully, some of the mapping and GIS type stuff that I wanna get done as well. But yeah, and you know, a lot of what the assistant to the director position did was, help them with minutes and, the finance stuff with David's office. And I've got employees that can take all that on. A good example is, number 4 there, Gina Hudson, she's a stormwater coordinator, but I call her my utility player, because if you know, if one of us gets hit in the head by a stray golf ball or something like that, she can step in and she can do all the finance stuff. She can help with any number of things. She's one of those employees that you know, when we need help at the front desk, somebody's out sick or whatever, but it's because I've got good folks working for me that can do a whole lot of things.
You realize this is not ordinary county procedure. I mean, what you're supposed to be doing instead of being efficient is just hire another person.
I do that too, you know.
No, I commend you for your foresight.
But that's all I had, and so I think I've got some guidance on it. Yes, sir.
You know, I'm all for this and everything. The only thing can you give us a list of the county properties?
When you guys are talking about that, I do have a pretty comprehensive list with our stormwater program through the state. But there are, as Chairman Hyde says, there are times when I find a piece of county property that's still out there. The one over by, I think maybe Jeremy, you know me something about the volunteer fire department, New Shackle. Yeah, there's a piece of property that's over there next to it that the county deeded all of it, but this little piece for some reason.
The reason was that was continuing to be used for a short period of time. It was a sewer treatment center for the schools across the street.
There's always a story. We found out, but there's probably 100.
If you dig deep enough, you'll find it.
You just gotta go to the sage in Sumner County.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'm inclined to support this. I just have to sing Josh's praises, with Adeline Acres, I think it's called Adeline Acres. But this guy has responded to my emails so fast. I mean, when I say fast, it's like usually within a couple of hours, because I have a bunch of constituents over there that are concerned that live up against there. Commissioner Klein and Miller have done a great job listening to the citizens. They came up, asked them questions. I think it was maybe Marshall Wright or somebody actually went out there and walked the property with someone, Marshall Boyd, I'm sorry. So they've gone above and beyond what I would ever expect. And I mean, without them, I couldn't help these, constituents out with their questions.
Johnny, if we go to stop burning stuff, that'd be great, though, because they continue to burn brush piles over there.
That's the biggest thing right now, is you can't breathe outside. And, in our district, when you go out there, they're burning over there. You can't breathe, but there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, Josh, you did a great job of answering questions properly, but doing a very detailed, thorough analysis of what's happening, what's not happening, what could you do about it. So I appreciate that. You did a excellent job. So it takes a long time to write. If you have more questions for John, I'll bring us back in because I'm getting late. One more question.
No, when we get back in.
We'll bring us back in order. Motion for discussion today. All right, good. All in favor, say aye. A motion, you second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Questions?
Well, I would like to, pick number 3 on here, make a motion for number 3, but I have a question for, I guess, David or Eric. Should we, the remaining funds are $213,000, should we take maybe $50,000 to get started and start there, or should we just?
I think it's more of a question to ask Josh. So right now, you're gonna approve the salary changes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you just need to vote on that one just to give me authorization to transfer the line items, and then I can.
Okay, I'll make a motion for that,
Second.
for this proposal with the salary changes.
So second by Commissioner Carn, any discussion? All fair say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, all right.
I'll bring you the line item details next month, already approved then.
Okay, so we'll come back in January with that.
Item 2 would be to ask Josh if he needs, if he does, because his 213 is gonna become unencumbered, then all you gotta do is just reappropriate the 50, but I'm not sure if he's wanting to contract any of it out.
What do we need to do with the 213 right now? Or yes, 213 is what's left on.
Well, one of the things that's on that list that I didn't say is potential procurement issues. It sounds easy, when I say, yeah, we're gonna find somebody to do GIS stuff for us, or we're gonna find the graphic designer or whatever. But with government stuff, the devil's in the details, and if I cross some threshold, then I've got to put out a bid or something like that. So, David, I would defer to you on what the best way is.
I've done a lot of projects, and even with them using internal staff, it always taxes your staff while you're doing the project. So I think from a department head standpoint, I would really, if I was on his end, appreciate if you reappropriated the 50 to allow me to outsource part of it, especially at the beginning. Just like he said, he may need to do designs, he may need to do things that's not expertise, he may get bogged down, and he's probably going to need some help even using his staff. But if I was the department, I would ask for the 50 to be reappropriated.
Yeah, and we can, if you do 50, and if we need to come back for a little more in the future, we'll do that.
In my mind, we've got 213. So I just kind of.
Or you could give him the 213, but I mean, it's really up to you guys. I'm just saying I would, because you mentioned 50, if I was there, I would want some funds to outsource and then come back to you if I got bogged down.
That was my thing, is I wanted to know what was the most appropriate. I mean, I don't have a problem with 213 versus 235, but.
We can get it a piece at a time, David. It's easier to have 50 remain, as long as everybody remembers that there's more if we need it,
I'm gonna make a motion for the full amount of the 213 versus 235.
All right, is there a discussion?
And
I just had a discussion piece. Timeline. Recently, we've been talking about Kronos implementation, and I felt the pain of that timeline, like pain of that. So what kind of timeline are we talking? If we go with option 3, and we're looking at, are we like talking in 15 years or 2 years? I mean, this Kronos is
well,
like.
that's the benefit of not having to rely on the third party as well. I mean, what I would like to do, and I'm not making a commitment right now, but I would like to, we're almost 2024, at the end of calendar year 2024, I would like to have a draft ready to take to the planning commission. So I would like to be able to get something done in a year. Now, my vision for this document, and I'm going to defer to you guys as we go through the process, but my vision for this document is to take a 400-page document that we have right now and shrink it down to 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, Williamson County redid their comprehensive plan recently, and they came out with a much, much simpler document. They spent a fortune on it, but it was a much simpler document. I think it's 30-something pages is all their comprehensive plan. And so I would like to take a lot of what we have and condense it, find out about the vision of the community for the details, and fill in those plans.
So how does that proceed, this shrinking down? Does that happen in the planning committee? Or does that happen only in your office? Or does that happen with community input?
I think that it's
All the above.
I just want to clarify. I want to clear.
It starts with the community. I think, before you really start doing anything, you gotta meet with the community. You gotta, have some meetings, that kind of thing, and hear from folks, some surveys. That's one of the other things we could use somebody to help us, do surveys and that kind of thing. You get that input, and then staff, we're gonna work on it in-house through most of that time. And a year may be ambitious. We're gonna work on it, we're gonna refine wording and that kind of thing. And then a year or so hence, hopefully we have a draft ready. That's when we would start really, we get a draft to the planning commission. Now that said, throughout the process, there's no reason we can't have a discussion with the planning commission about the details and that kind of thing. So I try to
Chairman, since it sounds like everybody's wanting it done quickly, do you want to waive the second reading?
Yeah, we're going to wait second reading, Commissioner. You're okay with that? So, move to approve item 3, approve the, request of staff and, rate changes there, as well as the remaining, the 4 remaining funds.
They've already approved. We
You already
already approved the budget.
you already approved
Okay,
it. It's just reappropriating the 213, whatever,